And I command you, Satan, rise your son for Warlock the Armageddon. And yes, this is a Warlock keychain, y'all. I post this up on our social media. So this is an official licensed Warlock keychain for the first movie that came out in the 90s. And I just wanted to show that off and have a little fun. But when you break down Warlock the Armageddon, though, if you really analyze it, it is the same Warlock, because when he died and went to hell, he is allowed to be reborn in a new entity. He would not be the same entity. So if you look at it in that light, you can easily see, but you can understand how this is a different character. He's reborn, so he's got new experiences. The first version was him as a human, as a warlock. Now he's a creature of hell, reborn as the warlock. So the devil had his character, his being, his identification. He's like, if I want something done, I'm sending this motherfucker to go do it. And so he sent this guy to go do it.
He's pretty efficient at what he does. He really is.
Hell yeah. I mean, he basically, for the entire movie, gets the shit done. All the way to the very end, he's just taken out by some honky ass like headlights. That's all.
I know I said She-Hulk was the most anticlimactic climax in the movie, but this might be close to it. No, this is still better than the ending of She-Hulk, because something actually happens. Not much, but something actually happens. Like,
and it's not
there is
Kevin.
A demon. You do see that. Yeah, it's not. It wasn't me this time.
Damn it, Kevin.
It looked like. I think we have it here somewhere. It looked like a giant dog head.
Dun, 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 dun. The service.
There we go. Yeah, look at this guy. So it
looked like Gozer from Ghostbusters when I was watching this,
but
not nearly as cool.
No, and they made him like truly neon, which wasn't bad per se. It just wasn't good either, because then shortly thereafter, he's beaten up and destroyed by headlights from a pickup truck.
Look at the high beams on that one. And this movie has no shortage on high beams in the other euphemism of that term.
No, it really doesn't. It really doesn't.
So if you're into boobs from the 90s, this is boobs from the 90s.
This is boobs from the 90s. And they get away with it by showing what was it? It was the art and fashion show.
Art and fashion show, and early on, before the Warlock is reborn, while she's getting dressed and she's walking back and forth in front of the doorway, there's a little bit there too.
That's right. There wasn't there?
It's very brief and quick, but it does happen. And if you don't believe me, go to MrSkin.com.
MrSkin.com.
We would love your sponsorship.
And I thought, I was excited when I saw that still from Slither, and I was like, oh, booby. No, but I mean, this was pretty equal opportunity. Again, we're working with the director of Hellraiser 3, so he doesn't really discriminate male or female when it comes to nudity, as we've seen.
Are we supposed to be raising the horns in this scene, so to speak?
Something is like boop boop.
They show more of his ass than his actual like junk, though. But
yes, like they shade it pretty well.
Yeah, they did a pretty good job.
But
when you do see something, it's clear he's wearing like a thong or a jock strap or something like that.
Anyway,
nobody saw that because you're on speaker mode.
Oh, damn it. You do see his wang. There was a Warlock wang. I saw it. I just didn't take a still of it this time because we got in trouble for the Robo wang last time.
Well, the horns are upside down in this one, so it's okay.
And I made sure to cover it up this time.
Well, he was a little limp. He was trying to chase his mommy. He just wanted to kiss. That was so weird on so many levels.
Yeah. Although, getting back to being serious, I know we should 0 Point at some point soon. But where was it? There was a picture that was just after the Warlock wing shot. Where did it go? Right here, where he's getting ready to talk to the devil or his master, and he's got the woman that he was just born from, lifeless in front of him, and he sticks his fingers in her brain and gets a message from the devil telling him basically what to do. And it was just basically short of calling him Mr. Phelps. It was really weird. It was like you half expected the body to explode shortly after the message was done, but instead you get a blood map, kind of like what you see in Constantine, except for the map itself is actually her flesh from her stomach.
Yep.
That part was kind of neat. I didn't dislike that.
No, that's pretty gnarly. They did a pretty good job on the effects with that one.
Their practical effects were pretty good in certain areas in this movie.
I would borderline say outstanding at times for the practical. When you get to the other stuff, it's not so much.
Well, it depends. Like some of the practical stuff is really not so good. There's one in particular, right? Yeah, where Kenny gets impaled by this pipe, and
I wish he got impaled like 9 by 9 different items personally.
Yeah, I think he did at some point or so.
It wasn't enough. Impaled. He wasn't in enough pain. He didn't die good enough for me. I hated his character. I wish he had died like a whole lot sooner.
His character was not exactly necessary. It was awkward and weird in most of it, actually.
Fucking stupid is what I call it. Kevin's being nice and I'm not. How's that for a flip?
This whole fucking movie is stupid and not good. It's just not.
But I'm going to turn around and say it's stupid, but fucking awesome.
No,
yes.
It's fucking dumb. Like,
you want that? That's the third one.
I love the first movie. I love everything about it from like beginning to end. This movie, the beginning was okay, and then you can't wait for it to end. Like it starts off in a sword and sandals movie, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool.
In sunny Northern California.
Yes, like it was another one of those scenes where it's like, we've got clips from this other movie over here. Let's put that in the beginning of our movie, and then we'll make a movie about that. Like it was out of place. It was weird. And I think that's because of the plot of the movie itself is out of place and weird. It's about druids keeping the devil at bay for hundreds to thousands of years, however long. That's not what really happened. Like it shows the army coming in and wiping out all those druids, and they make comments that like they kept getting pushed further and further away, and their numbers were dwindling, which obviously they did. But it was the Catholics that did that. So it's like they were kind of conflicting religions there.
They must have watched Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade and thought, hey, we can do this.
I don't know, because none of it fucking made sense. Like historically, none of it made sense. Religiously, none of it made sense, or theologically rather. You just kind of have to take it for a grain of salt for what it is. Just go with it. Kind of like when Stanley would do explanations of science. No idea what the fuck he was talking about, but it sounded good. Roll with it, make a good story.
It looks cool when somebody did the art.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will agree with you. Like, this story is just, I mean, I like this movie for all the wrong reasons. It's like we'll get to it, but honestly, the writing is, they went with a different writer and a different sort of idea for the script, and it ultimately just did not work because of like these characters, like him and the girl. That was where the movie fell apart for me. Just on a legit serious note here, them was horrible. They should have just had one character, should have just been her. And they didn't do that. And because of the writer that they got on this and the story they went with, they felt the need to have two young and love teenagers try and take on the baddest motherfucker on the planet. In any other script, those two are fucked. Just saying.
They
So
would
the
be,
movie
yes.
does fall apart with the writing. It really does. But I had so much fun with Julian Sands, and there was a lot of good fun moments to this movie. But anything with him, I wanted to turn the movie off or fast forward.
Fast forward, he's like the Ewoks, god damn it.
He's worse. I wanted Julian Sands to do that to him on the ground. Take these two guys out with 4 shots, turn right around and do a headshot on the fucker.
I didn't mean to put that up yet, but yeah, kind of like the pew pew fingers was kind of, that was much. That was a bit much.
They did go a bit on the one-liners and campiness. I think they were trying to shoehorn Warlock into the standard horror fare of the 90s, that everybody had to be quippy and witty and super funny. But I will say, for as many that didn't land, some of them really did land, as far as like Julian Sands one-liners. He did have a couple really good ones in there.
I liked one of his that really stood out for me, and it was because that they were giving homage to a movie that this particular actress was in. She plays Kate Earp in Tombstone.
Yes.
And that's one of the references to Faust that was Wyatt's wife, or future wife, was playing Faust in that. So I'm thinking it was an homage to Tombstone in a way, or Kate's character. Saying Faust would be proud with the deal that she made. And the way that works, and it continues to work because people have to give him the stone and offer it up freely. And he offers people things to do that, and it works out more like the monkey's paw than it does the original Warlock.
You be careful what you wish for.
Yes, because here he's got her levitating up in the air, and she hands him the stone, and he lets her go and just falls down.
Well, that was one of the things where he's like, no free rides, or rides over.
Yeah, and that kill scene was really good. I can't complain about that. Great actor, great scene. Only one part of it was ridiculous, and it had nothing to do with her or him. It was the stone that he was going after was being used as an earring on a model. Nothing happened to that model because the stone was just a prop, basically, for the show.
Yep.
But the thing was like so long and so heavy that it was like dragging her ear halfway down to her neck. And it felt really bad for her because it's something that an old lady would wear. Like you'd see old ladies that wear the really heavy earrings for so long, it just drags the earlobe down.
But it also fits in with a lot of fashion shows from around that time, even today, where they wear the gaudiest, weirdest jewelry just to accentuate whatever dress they're supposed to be wearing. It's just kind of crazy just to see, like, really, that does not fit that dress, lady. But that's what the fashionistas and the designers want them to do. So
yeah, I don't get it. I follow Bees McKeever on Facebook, and she always posts pictures from random art shows, or not art shows, fashion shows like this.
yeah.
And it's the craziest thing, like people dressed up like a bird's nest, or concrete with a bird's nest, looking like they're from a fucking Talking Heads video or Devo video, like crazy shit. So I've never really understood fashion myself. Like clearly I've been wearing the same ensemble for the last 30 years, hoodie and pants.
Yeah, you've worn that for the last 7 videos we've had. So hey, if it works, it works.
Not this one. This is the good one. It's the Mystery Science Theater one.
I know, I'm teasing you, buddy.
It's got the guys on the back. Anyway, they're not licensed for this show.
Nope, copyright infringement claim. Here we come. I knew we could do it.
Oh, but there was a line. Where was it? Is it going back to
the Wild West? Or Fill Me Up?
No, the bad puns. Got to get that saying in, the last fucking quote. Where was it?
I just quoted a couple.
I know. I had one written down that was.
Oh, I see.
It was horrible. But okay, so one that I just remembered off the top of my head because it was so fucking horrible is right before they get down and get jiggy the night before they're going to go face this guy.
Oh, I know what you're getting to.
Like half the movie, you're wondering why she wears the dresses that she wears because they're like 90s, the long flowery summer dress or spring dress.
Easy to remove dresses.
Yes. And I figured that out once they got down to it. It's like, oh, okay. She's not wearing any panties and it comes up really easily. Why didn't I think of that before? But then later on after that scene, she's wearing underwear. So then I'm like totally fucking confused. Like they were out in the woods. Where did she just like randomly get underwear?
I don't know. Maybe he took his underoos off and he was like, "Hey, wear these, lady. I'll just freeball it for the rest of the movie."
I got that tree scene coming up soon. No.
I want to fix your screen too.
Again, god damn it.
0.1.
Yes. But just before they get freaky, he makes some comment like, you know, the night before they go to battle, warriors would make love.
Nobody fucking says that. Nobody.
And she fucks him anyway.
Like he could have just said, "Hey, before we go into battle, let's get it on, baby. Give me some sugar."
Kind of.
Like, if you're gonna go fucking campy, go with the best. Go Army of Darkness on this girl, you know? Give me some sugar, baby.
Kind of.
Shop smart, shop as smart.
Yeah. There was a lot to be said or a lot to be had that shouldn't have been said in this script.
And
that
shouldn't
was one
have
of the
been
biggest
had.
lines. No, dude, they were like 16. Which I know some 15-year-olds are like, my time's coming.
Yep.
Some 13-year-olds are like, what took you so long?
Yeah.
But like, it's very much pushing, not, I don't give a fuck about premarital sex, obviously, but it's pushing like kids having sex and shit. It's like, yes, they're adults playing teenagers, but yeah.
Yeah, welcome to the 90s.
The 90s
this was pretty common in other 90s horror movies like that. I'm not talking like Tremors. I'm talking like other movies like Leprechaun and whatnot.
Yeah, kinda.
Nightmare.
Not as cheesy though. Although Nightmare 6 for the 90s was kind of cheesy.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah. Rachel Talalay left no pun unscathed in that movie.
No, she did not.
Excuse me. But this movie did have its moments. I mean, I can't sit here and punch the movie the entire time. I can, but I won't. Some of the kills were really good. Like I said, the scene where he lets go of the woman's hand and she falls down 30 feet to the top of the building that they were on, through the skylight, and then down onto the stage. And they like, it was funny because that in itself was cool, but they tried making it look grosser by having blood arterial spray like fly up on the guests.
It's like she imploded on impact.
Kinda. And it's like what they used was not blood makeup.
Clearly.
Blood. It was somebody needed paint and they got just a little bit and just sprayed it up on these people and said, cut, perfect, print it. That was cheesy as shit. And then you'd think it got worse. It did. So here's Kenny wearing the same blood on his face, supposed to have been shot in the chest with the fucking shotgun, screaming backwards, going, ah! Okay, first of all, you can't without lungs. And if you got shot with both barrels, you don't have no more lungs.
He should have just been shot straight back. Nobody falls like that from a shotgun. You're on the ground flat. You're not.
Well, it depends upon what you get shot with out of that shotgun as far as how far you go. But yes, this was bad.
Rock salt, that would have been funny.
I have shot somebody with rock salt before. It is funny. This, they had him like lying on his back that was covered in like green material that you would see in the green screen, almost like watching George Reeves fly as Superman. And it's not as good as that.
No.
And it was there were plenty of moments like that. I don't want to say that they were distracting, but they definitely take away from the movie's authenticity.
Yeah.
I think I know it was the 90s and everything was supposed to be bigger, better, more whatever. And this movie was truly that compared to the first film. And Hellraiser 3 was like that compared to the first two films. Completely different type of flick.
I am the way.
Well, kind of, yeah. I mean, and then, oh, darn it, I passed it up. This picture here was very reminiscent of the Pillar of Sorrow, I think it was called. It looks like it has the same puppetry that was in the Pillar, where you see all the eyes moving beneath Pinhead and stuff.
It's a bit reminiscent of a Rembrandt.
Kinda, right? It was, this kill was cool. I kind of liked it. It didn't mesh well at first, but once he got to the little art piece, it looked better.
Yeah, the CGI portions of this transformation were not really that great, but a lot of movies in the 90s all fit that mold of early CGI. Didn't exactly translate the best, but if you're talking about death scenes, I like the one at the circus, actually, where he trapped the guy in the mirror world, and he also killed the little person too. When she started spouting off, he's the son of Satan, don't give him the stone, and he's like, you are psychic, shut up. And then he just straight up killed him. But then he takes care of the other dude with the stone, and I'm like, that was really fun and clever. I really like that.
That scene, the mirror universe or the mirror world, was perfect.
That was dope.
Yeah, it fits demonology and witchcraft really, really well.
Yeah.
There's a horror film called Mirror Mirror that didn't have, not the one with Kiefer Sutherland. It was an older movie from the early 90s that was about demons or spirits on the other side of the mirror trying to come out and possess the people that they're reflecting. I want to say I remember it as being a cool movie, but Riff Tracks riffed it last year. I bought it, just haven't watched it yet.
Are you a little worried?
Yeah, because from the last few movies that were on Mystery Science Theater, I'm kind of like, oh, hey, Wizards of the Lost Kingdom. I used to love that as a kid.
Oops. Well, and then Riff Tracks did, what was it, Return of the Swamp Thing, or was it Swamp Thing?
No, it was Return of the Swamp Thing.
It was Return of Swamp Thing, which is very riffable on its own anyway. I mean, I would, full disclosure, if they riffed the first Warlock, I'd probably be heartbroken. This one, you could easily riff this one. I ain't gonna deny that at all.
No, there's plenty of room for it. And this is something that somebody probably should, if it hasn't been done already, because it's there for the punch-in. Like,
it's a
this movie was made to riff. Yeah.
Yep.
But
definitely the third one for sure.
This one, the scene here that you were talking about, where he picks her up and just holds her like an animal, like you would a wild cat or a dog or raccoon, what have you, was so demeaning, and just puts her in the Iron Maiden
and just closes the fucking door on her.
Yeah, and you're left there sitting, you're thinking to yourself, what a fucking dick, but that was really cool.
Like, he played up the cold-hearted killing machine from the first one. That's something that did carry forward, was how just fucking sinister he could really be when he really put his mind to it.
I saw just one behind the scene interview with Julian Sands for this one, and he said,
was that on the disc?
No, I randomly found it on YouTube, but it probably was on the disc.
Probably.
Because it looked better than the movie itself. So, although we were watching the Blu-ray to this, and it wasn't much better than what it was initially.
The Blu-ray looks better than the DVD, just in case anybody's curious. So definitely go out and get that Vestron video that we got.
that set is worth it just for the first movie alone. But oops. That's one of the scenes of another impalement. This was actually okay until
that was fun.
Yeah, when he gets up from that, Deadpool, the video game, has a scene kind of like that where he pulls himself up off the spike. They could have done that here, but they went back with the bad CGI and they tried to do a T-1000 where he melts through the bars. Did not work here. They shouldn't have done that.
It worked up to a point. Like if they'd been able to have like the special effects available to them that James Cameron did, it would have looked pretty sweet.
Sure.
My problem is largely with like the CGI of the floating gems, him flying through the air without having the blood of a kid. But it's a lot of like the floaty daytime stuff that's like, yeah, that doesn't look right.
This was like the worst thing I've ever seen. It's Kenny moving his hands like this.
Yeah.
And the green screen behind him, which is terrible. It's worse than a scrim. Like if you've ever seen something on Broadway and they lower a scrim down so they could project like a twister or something in front of on the stage. This looked worse than that. It was really dark. It was really grainy. It looked like cut footage is basically what it looked like that wasn't finished. Not a lot of the movie was like that, but enough was to be like, okay, this must be the movie that our listener Norman was talking about.
And that I've mentioned is like, this can be a rough one to watch.
Yes. And I did not get a shot of the baseball. I tried. I just didn't find it a good.
That's the thing that irritates me the most is like, oh my God, that whole baseball sequence is just stupid as shit. It looks so bad.
A lot of it does. This here, the knife fight that you're talking about, you barely see it up in the corner here. And it looks like a cartoon. Like it really does. Like when Roger Rabbit, when one of the weasels throws the knife and gets it stuck in the wall, that's what it looks like. So
see, and this is a scene where you could have done practical on this and just done tricks with a camera. Like you could have had the knife just hanging from two wires up in that corner up there. And we'll go back to Kevin to where you can then see it when he talks next. You look up there, you could have a knife just hanging there. All you have to do is have a little wind going to make it look like it's struggling. I've seen it done in other movies and shows. It's definitely doable. And you could have replicated a lot of that as long as you kept the shots up close like this. But the second you pan far enough away with the long shots and you're looking between the two and how the knife's bobbing between, that's when you have a real problem, unless you have a contraption for it. But we'll go back to Kevin here.
Well, no, I don't have anything better than that. Like it's just it gets worse from there. This is the scene that you were talking about that you didn't really like, this one here.
Yeah.
Where this is much better than Kenny with the cans waving his hands up around in the air.
It's just way better than Kenny.
Yeah. Like it was a hard time not calling him Buck through the majority of the film, but I had that same problem when we watched Max Headroom. And I feel really bad because he's not a bad actor. This was a bad movie. But anyway, like he's getting the stones all together in their proper space. And as he does that, like he like rattles them, clickety, clickety, clack, throws them down like he's playing craps or some shit. And they all turn to cartoons like this and start spinning around. Looked a lot better than the cans, but it was very much like watching a cartoon. Again, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? A lot like that. And then we got the Neon Nightmare, which, where is he? Down all the way at the bottom.
We must summon our Satan.
This thing here, again, yeah, he looks like Zool.
There is no Dana, only Warlock.
There wasn't no fucking monster either. Like he was just like this neon thing. And I don't know if that's like the studio wanted that. If they wanted some big CGI type monster, wanted it to glow, it didn't work for me. Like it was the Disco Demon or the
Might
Neon
as well have
Nightmare.
done stop motion at this point, in my opinion.
They should have. There is nothing wrong with stop motion. It's a much better format for these type of movies than the bad CGI.
Yep.
When you see that in a Harryhausen film, it's forgivable. It looks
It's
cool.
dope.
Yeah. In a movie like this, there's room for it, especially because they already used puppetry in it. So, I mean, why not go that extra mile? CGI was probably expensive back then.
Oh, horrifically expensive.
Yeah, like until they got digital, it'd be a lot less expensive. A lot of these shots were probably really costly. They could have gone and should have gone with more practical effects.
Yeah, and probably a different revision on the script as well. But yeah, the CGI is a bit rough. We won't beat on that too much. That's a dead horse. But
no, but what I did want to point out, just as what I got from this movie, is everything was 90s.
Including his hairstyle.
Yeah, like everything went glam. Like it was supposed to be hot.
Glamour.
It wasn't. It
Armageddon.
wasn't. Like you sit there and watch it, and a lot of times you just kind of like want to cover your eyes because the script is so bad. Not because the visuals are so bad, but because the script is so bad. Like you don't want to see it. It's bad reflections of the 90s, the early glam style. Having a boy band haircut long before they were popular. I don't know.
His haircut didn't bother me that much. At first, it's just such a stark opposition from the long hair from the first one. It's like, why are you getting rid of Fabio's locks here? That's what brought him to the dance. But, part of the problem is not just the fact that they infused so much 90s into this movie, because in the first Warlock, they didn't do that. So when they did it here, it felt a lot more out of place. So it didn't fit the context of the movie so much. It just felt like we're going down Dawson's Creek with Warlock. What are we doing here? But also at times it felt like there was some stuff that was cut out, because we would go from a couple of scenes into the next scene and you're wondering, how the hell did he find the Warlock? How the hell did he find like Frank being cuffed up and with his arms ripped off, and then he shoots him and saves him? Like, how are we going from like one scene to 3 scenes later? There's clearly a scene missing between the two. And it's like, I think once they got to the third act, they realized, oh shit, we're running out of money, we're running out of time, let's finish this up. And if we have to cut out probably 10 minutes of this movie, that might have helped. Don't know. We don't know for sure. Nobody knows. I would say nobody would say that there's any deleted scenes, but it certainly feels like it because of how they cut things at the end.
This was horribly edited.
Yeah, I don't mean to pick on editors, but something was going on in the final act of this movie, and they could have done a better job tightening up the first 2 acts.
This was also the fault of Trimark. When they went searching for directors and writers, that was their decisions. They picked people that had reputations that weren't the greatest for wanting to make a sequel of an ongoing franchise.
They should have kept with Steve Miner.
Yes, they should have.
And David too, he is the writer. He probably would have narrowed this script in.
Yeah. But what we got, and again, no offense to either artist, is we got a director of Hellraiser 3, which out of the first 4 is my least favorite. I don't want to say it's grown on me, but I could watch it comfortably at this point.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's not the worst in the series at all.
We don't even get to that until you start talking 5 and beyond.
5's where I stopped. Like, I have no desire to watch this anymore.
I stopped after part 4.
I liked it in space. It was okay.
I liked part 4. The original script for part 4 that Clive did and they were intending to shoot was awesome. What we ended up seeing is a hybrid of what he did and what the studio did. So too much studio meddling.
Which is always the pits.
The original script was fucking epic. It actually would have worked just fine. I wish I still had a copy of that.
I would read that.
I would totally send it to you if I had it. I found old scripts that I've sent you, Freddy versus Jason stuff, including Cy and Ethan's.
That was pretty cool. That was cool.
Yeah.
I zero-pointed and I'm trying to come back. Oh, the writing.
And then I zero-pointed on top of your 0-point, and now we're completely lost.
Well, I gotta go 2 back. So I'll start with this one. The writer of this movie, is the gentleman who wrote Corman's Fantastic Four movie. Never got published, never released to the theaters.
You can see it on YouTube.
Yes, you can see it on YouTube. Mary Jo actually had it on her movie night this week or last week. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
And so if you want to watch it there, you could watch it on the Mary Jo Peel show.
Please go check that out. It's awesome.
It's at dumb-industries.com.
Yep.
I need to watch that myself. From what I understand, it's still the best Fantastic Four movie ever made.
I would agree.
Probably not far off from the truth. Corman's not a bad
story,
director,
but not the best special effects and budget and whatnot. But the story, it certainly beats everything else I've ever seen for Fantastic Four.
It had a Doctor Doom that looked like Doctor Doom
and acted like Doctor Doom. And act like some prima donna from General Hospital.
General Hospital or Nip Tuck. That was
I like him as an actor. That was just, they didn't do any of those characters justice for those actors.
No. Ben and Johnny.
They were fine.
Yeah, Chris Evans and Chicky, they did pretty good together. I liked them.
Blame on.
But Chris Evans is just dope, and so is Chickless. So there's that 0-point review, and then going way back to that interview with Julian Sands, he was saying that his take for this Warlock was he gets more pleasure out of tempting people.
Yes.
And you do see that a lot, and you see Julian having fun with that, and that's really cool.
Yeah, that's definitely a highlight of this movie, is watching him just go kind of crazy with everything.
With his little mic drop hand move, like, oh! But he would have little hand motions and things would explode.
He just didn't have the eyes to guide his way. He just had a bloody mop.
Yeah. Which he had to stop and get directions again. I did actually like this part. Where is it?
Oh, the whole part of this, are you talking oh no, you're talking this part, yeah.
The hooker. A hooker gets into the car that has the same haircut as he does, except for it's red. And she's sitting there trying to, loosen him up a bit, see if she can get paid.
Oh my God, I look like a mess. Oh, my hair is so bad. How does my hair look? And he rips it right off and says, here, what do you think? Basically. Take a look. He scalps her with like one little tug.
It was the coolest shit in the whole fucking movie right there. Like she wouldn't just shut up. It's like, wah, 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 wah. And he just fucking rips it off. Like, you tell me.
And he chucks her out the car.
And he does this in the General Lee.
Well, kind of generally, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have the fucking stripes on it and the stars, but it was heavily implied that that's what he was racing in.
Well, what I liked is when he was getting that car from the gas station, and then, he has to kill the gas station attendant because they're doing the whole stabby into the leaf thing with the voodoo. A nice little homage to the first one. One of the few that they did, because in the first one, they're stabbing the footprints. They're stabbing the head imprint on the ground. In here, they do a lot more like druid voodoo magic, and got a pen and you're stabbing a leaf that they've pre-marked and done a chanting on, and every time you stab it, he spurts black blood everywhere. It's like a fucking like murder scene when especially when he just starts stabbing at the thing like several times. It's like, holy shit, if he only knew that this was actually doing damage, he probably would have kept on doing it for an hour.
The movie would have been over in 10 minutes after that. Like,
movie over.
The druids in this were not druish at all.
No, they didn't do Ruin Stone. They didn't do like any of that. They were more like baby witches, is what they were acting like. And at times, baby bitches.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't get along with themselves. That was another character problem I could not understand.
Well,
like,
the Reverend...
why are you creating this much of a hassle between everybody when from the word go, you should all just be on the same side to take down this menace that you know is coming at some point?
Yes. That's one of the things that didn't really make sense. Like,
yeah,
there's 3 druids in town that have all been
trained,
conspiring
whatever.
together. Yeah, trying to stop the beast from returning, or the Antichrist from being risen again. And they fight. One of them has a fight and goes off to become a preacher, a reverend. And his daughter, of course, is the heroine of the movie, Captain Murphy from Lethal Weapon. His son is Kenny. And they tried to get this Romeo and Juliet romance going in this, like
with Samantha.
Yes, and Sam's not a good character, like, at all.
The actress was fine. We're talking the character.
Oh, sure. And they made it very angsty, and it didn't need to be. The angst was almost as fucking annoying as the special effects were. And Sam's character, again, wasn't necessary. I mean, they were pushing for Kenny to be the hero of the film. That was also annoying.
Yep.
I agree with you. I would have rather seen her be the heroine of the film.
Just focus on her.
Yeah, we don't need some magical dude or whatever the fuck else. We had Redfern in the first movie, and that's really hard to top. They didn't do that here in any regard. Like, they got some very good actors, of course. And then the Reverend
Sam also had like all the magic power already she was working on. Well, with Kenny, they're just trying to like beat it into his head of like, dude, you have to do something. You have to do something. She's already doing it. It's like, oh my God, it's like pulling teeth with these 2 characters when it should have just been her.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah. There wasn't a whole lot of teamwork that happened. She gets stuck to the bumper of that truck.
Yeah.
And he's wrapped up in trees. And they use their telekinesis together to turn the headlights on this truck. And it kills Disco Demon. And it kills the Warlock. Mind you, he's been walking around in the sun all throughout the fucking flick. Like, there's the fucking OK Corral moment where you're like, okay, he just wasted these guys, and then blows smoke out of his pew-pew fingers. Why?
Well, they did mention, I don't know why him, but like the stones, it almost makes you wonder if like the light hitting the stones was then shooting to him, and the stones could not be exposed to that kind of a bright light. I know I'm trying to make sense of like the most ridiculous thing they set up in this movie, but that's what the movie said, and what they established is these stones, when they're aligned, they cannot be hit by like bright lights. And what do? They hit the floodlights on a fucking Jeep. Oh my God.
On a fucking Jeep. My thought on it is they're Kryptonian. The Warlock and the Demon are probably Kryptonian. They turned on Krypton bulbs. They died. They all exploded. Like, that's the only explanation I can come up with this shit.
This was weak, bro. This was weak.
This was like an anticlimactic ending until he gets the last stone at the end. Like, his his skeletal hand comes up out of the dirt and grabs the rebirth stone off of her neck. And honestly, I thought that they were going to make it so like, oh, look, she's got the stone. She's going to be pregnant now. Oh. But no, they didn't do that. They did the last minute jump scare, which is cliche, but
I like those.
yeah, it worked out. I dug it. It was a lot like seeing Freddy's hand come up over Jason's mask in part 9 and pull it down.
Yep, goes to hell.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was cool. The rest of the ending made no sense whatsoever. It was where they saved all the worst CGI for like the last hurrah.
It reminded me of Blade.
Yeah, kinda when
With
Lamagra.
Lamagra.
Yeah. And again, a movie that has wonderful fucking practical effects throughout the entire thing until they want this giant blood god. It's like,
it looks like a Jello monster.
Yeah, it looks.
Yeah, I know.
It looked like the pink slime from fucking Ghostbusters.
I love Blade. I'm just saying, like, man, that's like the one bad part about that movie.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's pretty damn good. It holds up today, I think, anyway.
Yeah,
and it's not glammy like this one.
No, and even you could feel like the movie was also missing on the score. They did not have Jerry back. They did not carry over anything from the first movie as far as like the score, the soundtrack. I did like the hard rock music at the end over the end credits. That was pretty cool. But that's the end credits. And there was no stinger at the end. Why would you even invest in like a cool ass ending song when you're not even going to deliver anything else at the end?
I don't know.
That's just my opinion, because for movies like that, that's what they're there for. They're there to be like, hey, this is pretty cool. Regardless of what you thought of the movie, it's like, but hey, if it's something like this, maybe there's something at the end. Because this is before all movies were starting to do stingers at the end, like we've seen in the last 20 years.
Yeah. Which there's movies where, what was it? What movie was it that we watched recently where there was a stinger and I didn't know and you yelled at me about it? It wasn't RoboCop, was it?
Oh, it was not RoboCop.
I don't know. I missed some stinger and you're just kind of like, really? Really?
You didn't even watch it to the fucking end. First person that puts that in our comments below, if you know what movie that is, put it in a comment below. You might just win a little something from us.
No shit, because I can't remember what the fuck it was. You know who I did kind of like in this movie? What was his name? The friend of the Kenny's dad. I have his name here
was
somewhere.
It Ted or Frank or Ethan? The one chasing down the Warlock was Ethan.
Oh, the one that got blown up in the
elevator.
Yeah,
that was fucking awesome. I gotta say, that left you to your imagination what fucking happened to him, because it looked like he was about to stab him, and the next thing you know, ding, doors open, the whole elevator is red, and just two limbs are hanging from the ceiling and nothing else.
Yeah, that's good horror. I liked that part.
Yeah.
And again, it's like you said, it's left to the imagination. You see the aftermath. You have no idea how that happened, but it's gruesome as fuck.
Implications work very well when you're trying to save your budget, as long as you give them something to remember to try and fill in that gap.
Yeah, not Disco Demon. But no, R.G. Armstrong, the guy that lived longer, the other guy with Kenny's dad. He wasn't so bad. The guy that did all the stabbing of the leaf, but for being the smart one, okay, yeah. So for being the smart one, oh no, that's not him either. That's the Reverend.
Ted is the Sam's dad. Yeah, the Reverend.
Well, damn it, is that Crispin Glover's brother? Because his last name is Glover, and he's got the eyes just like him.
I kind of was wondering that too, but I didn't really look into that.
Well, the funny thing is in my notes where you've got Kenny, Sam, you don't know if they're dating yet, but there's the jock that she's in drama club with.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That wants to beat up Kenny, because
Kenny's tapping that.
Yeah, like he doesn't even know that they're together. And he's beating him up because he might get close to her.
Well, and he's also been dubbed the Satan's kid. Hey, show me your magic tricks.
Yeah.
So you're trying to show like he's being bullied, but you're not really doing that. I mean, he's shown nothing to show that why he's being bullied. Because they didn't even set his character up like that. Like, she was the one showing magic. He was not showing magic.
No, and he's the one that doubts himself throughout the entire thing until the cans.
Man, if there was one thing about that ending that I was hoping for and digging, and I mean, like, when I first saw this, because I've seen this in the theater, I saw this when it came out. I snuck into this one and I enjoyed it, but like, even at the same time, like, man, when he gets impaled and that store gets blown up, I'm like, yeah, motherfucker's dead. Some real stakes, and he's still kicking for the rest of the movie. And it's like, oh god, you missed a perfect opportunity to show a real badass with Sam.
Again, yeah, they could have done that, and they really they lose out with the way they oversaturated that. A lot of it was cool. A lot of it got too much, like the blowing up the splinters everywhere.
It was funny.
It was funny, but we already had an explosion at the beginning where the lightning strike hits the big sculpture, or whatever it was, or the tree.
Yep.
That was okay. We had that, and we've got the rando woman that was, God, what was she complaining about? That I don't remember what she was complaining about to the dad and the other druids, but we didn't see her before, and we don't see her until the end, more or less, where she's crucified upside down by the warlock in the churchyard. And then you start seeing, like, instead of cops investigating anything, immediately you see like a Springfield type lynch mob or angry mob. Everyone's got their torches, everyone's got their pitchforks, and they're all pointing fingers at even the reverend at that point. And you're like, are there no cops here to like fucking put everyone away, zone shit off, investigate to see what happened? Nope. Just leave her there. All right.
Can't be bothered. She deserved it. Bitch had it coming.
I guess so. I don't know who the fuck she was as far as like in relation to the druids, because clearly she knew them all.
She was nobody's mom in the movie.
Yeah, like,
or seeing any of the dads. I mean, that made like no sense.
Maybe though. It was my only guess is that she was probably in a deleted scene.
Probably. There might have, like, this is why I'm saying, like, clearly some stuff was cut out, whether it was on the written page of a script or they were shooting things and they're like, nah, cut this out. We got to bring this down 10, 15 minutes. I mean, we'll never know. A lot of this footage could be lost, like some of the Friday the 13th stuff for years,
I'm relatively okay with it, other than the fact that I think every cell that has Julian Sands on it should be like preserved.
Yep.
He's brilliant.
Say what you will about the movie, nothing with Julian Sands' portrayal. He brought it. He was the star of this fucking movie, period. So if you're not interested, then just move on. First one's awesome, but if they didn't have Julian in this movie, I don't think anybody would have even watched this fucking thing. I wouldn't have.
No, I wouldn't have either. At least I wouldn't have watched it a second time. And ironically, as it is, this might be like the third time I've seen this movie at best. Second or third time. So, like we talked about last week, I saw it when it first came out, and I remember not liking it, and I couldn't figure out why. Now that we've been doing this for so long, I'm kind of like, fuck, I know all sorts of technical reasons why this movie is shit. And it's not. It's really like a matter of perspective.
It's a flawed movie. Like, that's just how it is. You either like it or you don't like it. You could be, it's okay, it's got its moments, but you could also have the feeling of somewhere in the middle, like, it's good, it's bad, it's what it is.
there are moments that truly make it worth it, and they all involve Julian, which they should. He's the title character.
Exactly.
His killing Kate, his tempting her, the being so fucking annoyed by the prostitute that he rips her fucking wig off or rips her whole scalp off.
We're going down the phantom stairs from the top of the building to the ground, looking like, oh, we're getting ready for our boss fight now.
That was actually okay. I didn't mind that so much at all.
I forgot about that scene, and I'm like, oh shit, he's eating up this scene, and he's not doing anything but walking down clearly like blocked out stairs.
He has a very commanding presence about him.
Yes,
and I mean that as the man, the actor. He has the ability to really make you stare at him and notice him. I loved him as an actor and everything he ever did.
You never saw him in Stargate. SG-1. He was in seasons 9 and 10. He was Hallowed Are the Ori.
Ooh.
So he did some cameos in later seasons of Stargate, and what they did with him, I thought was pretty fucking cool with that. He had even shorter hair, but it was slicked back, but it was still him, and he was still doing a just banger job.
Yeah. I mean, I want to say the last thing I really saw him in was probably Rose Red. And
never saw that.
It's a really good movie. There were 2 movies to it. Rose Red itself, and that's like 3 hours long, 4 hours long. And then there was a Diary of Ellen Rimbauer, which was a companion piece to Rose Red. It had all the flashbacks in the movie edited together as one big movie itself that happens in the past. You're like, this is really fucking cool. The side movie's a little cheese, but it's actually really cool when you put the whole thing together. And again, the King has a fucking cameo in the movie.
He's in everything.
He is. Basically, this is like Clue in a haunted house, and it works. It's nothing but good actors. We need to do that soon because I just Zero.Pointed again.
Yeah, we'll add it to the list, or if somebody puts a comment below, we'll take a look at that too.
Yeah. If nothing else, I think you should watch it just because. Like,
yeah, I'll add it to the list.
It's got some craziness to it, and it's got some scariness to it, but it's all cool.
Yeah.
So, and as far as representation goes, it's one of the movies that portrayed autism much more realistically back then.
Good to know.
So yeah, it's not bad or demeaning to people with disabilities or people that believe in ghosts, anything like that.
Awesome.
And that's my 0 again. Warlock the Armageddon, though.
Yep, Warlock the Armageddon. All right. If everybody liked this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel below. We got a bunch of other movie reviews on the backlog, and we also have some fun ones coming up. So please stay tuned for that. And thank you, Skeeter Slater and Chad Peterman, for being our Patreon supporters. If you want to join us over on Patreon, we have a bunch of early access to all of our content, podcast, and video. It's patreon.com/SunsAndShadowsCast. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And let Julian Sands command you. We remember him well, and we will remember him fondly. He will be greatly missed. And we love you, Julian Sands. To your memory, my man. To your memory. Make sure you check us out on all of our social media platforms. We got Facebook, Twitter. We are at Suns and Shadows. We're also on Instagram at SunsAndShadowsCast. We are at SunsAndShadows.com. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you down the road.